Okay, hi, I'm Maria Verven. I own Verve PR, and I'm going to be talking kind of an overlap a little bit of what Dave talked about. I'm going to kind of focus it a little bit differently because I don't really want to repeat a lot of the stuff that he gave you. Just terrific information. Thanks a lot, Dave. That was really great. I'm actually about a 25 to 30 year PR veteran. I've been a VP at several different companies, Fleischman Hillard, a big PR agency. I was a VP at Piper Jaffray. I was also a VP, and I called myself the VP and janitor of marketing. Anybody been in that role where you get to create all the messes but mop them all up at the same time? That was my job for about 6.5 years at a technology company. I've been on my own now for the second time, about 8 years. I work a lot with small businesses. Edina Realty is my biggest client, but I've got lots and lots of small businesses that I work with all the time. I tend to work more on the strategic end of things, so I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on the strategy piece, but you're going to see a lot of slides. Maybe I'm going to kind of go through them a little quickly because there might be a little bit of a repeat here. Anyway, I also do lecture at the University of Minnesota in the PR department, and I also teach 2 classes through adult community ed. One is on the new rules of marketing a small business, and the other one's on SEO for small business. Where would you hang a Picasso? Would you hang it in the basement? Probably not, right? Okay. I love this example because basically the point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of people focus all their effort on creating a gorgeous website, and they put a lot of time and effort and money into that. And then what happens is that it's hanging in the basement because they haven't done some of the things that Dave talked about, that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about your image, but I'm going to focus more on projecting your image, the projection part. That's where you get this beautiful website that you've created found. You get people looking at it. So just keep in mind, this is your website times about 180 million, because that's how many websites are out there. So you're spending all your time looking at this beautiful website that you've created, but you're the only person looking at it because there's a lot of other websites out there. So the way I like to look at building a website and then creating your beautiful website and then projecting that website and showing it off to the world is that your website is like your house. And think of the house as every single room has got to have SEO, search engine optimization. I'm just going to use the term SEO from now on every single page. So the front door is basically this is where you're showing the world in a nutshell what your site is all about. But then every page is addressing a different keyword search that people are doing to find your business. So, and I can give you lots of examples of that, but one of my favorite ones is a woman that I was working with who's a psychic in San Francisco. Okay, and she's like, Maria, people are coming to my website, but they're bouncing off, and I don't really know why they're coming there, and how can I capture some search? And I said, well, why don't people use a psychic? I didn't really understand this because I never used a psychic before. And so I said, why do people use you? And she said, because people want to know, mostly women, is he the one for me? So they have met some guy and they're trying to figure out, is he the right one for me? So they go to a psychic, okay? I didn't realize this. So, so I actually Googled when I was talking to her, is he the one for me? Sure enough, it's a big search because more and more people are actually Googling what they're thinking, their feelings, their issues, their problems, and they're putting it right in the way they would if they were just talking to somebody. So is he the one for me? And so we started creating content around, is he the one for me? And then eventually you come around to answering the question, answering the burning question that people have and here's how she answers that question. The next part is the Chimney. That's your content strategy. So Dave talked a lot about that. Your content strategy is basically social media is one of your channels. Maybe PR is one of your channels. You have to think blog might be one of your channels. So you have to think about what's your strategy for creating content. And then the smoke is your keyword-rich updates that you're going to be putting out on a regular basis. So when I develop a content strategy, usually what I do is also think through what's the calendar? What's this look like? So that you're not trying to invent the wheel. This is a great example of one of my clients. This is a client I've been working with for about 10 years. They're the largest online career test. They got a great business model that's pretty common. Business model, which is you come to the site, you get some free information, which is a free career test. Gives you lots of great information about who you are, and then they try to upgrade you, and they're upgrading you to a career package, which is hooked into the ONET government database, descriptions of about 900 different jobs, and it sorts all those jobs in order of your unique career test results. It's a terrific business model. They're bumping around at about 1,500 visits a day. Okay, how many people get 1,500 visits a day? That's a lot. Okay, we're driving it up to 4,000 visits a day. Okay, this is through a site redesign. It's through blogging. It's through SEO. It's doing all the things right. This is what can happen. What happened actually suddenly was that we did everything, a complete site redesign and really bumped up the site considerably. This is April 2012. That was actually going up to about 2,500 visits a day. We're now 4,000, and on a good day we hit 6,000 visits a day. That's a lot. Okay. So I'm going to kind of go through, actually it's now the 5 C's because I thought of a 5th C. The 5 C's of what we call inbound marketing. Has everybody heard of the term inbound marketing? Yes? Everybody's heard of that? Yes? Okay. I like the difference really between inbound marketing, that's where we're trying to capture people who are looking for your product and service. That's the whole point. We're trying to get people that are looking for your product and service as opposed to interruption marketing. That's where you're driving down the street and you see a billboard and you're like, well, I could care less about that right now. I'm just, fighting traffic to get home. So this is really, this is the way things are moving because it really shortens the whole cycle from when somebody's looking for your service to actually buying your service or product. So the 4 C's are change, content, channels, and credibility. So this is, of course, the field of dreams. So build it and they will come. Not, because really this is where you've built you took that beautiful Picasso and now you're hanging in the basement, right? Because you haven't done everything right to help it get found. So this is actually how Google defines low quality. These are actually Google's definition. The page content and the title tags, you heard a little bit about that, don't match the keyword that they've put in. Now keyword is not just one word, remember it's 2 to 4 to 5, sometimes 6 words strung together and that's the keyword that people might be using. You use a different keyword on every single page. But Google wants that page content and the title tag and everything to match up with the keyword search that somebody's doing. Stagnant sites, no updates. How many people have built a site but then thought, okay, it's done, right? Not. I mean, that's where we really need to get into the notion that your site needs to be constantly changing. That's why a lot of people do blogs. There's a low amount of original content. There's a high bounce rate. So people get to your site and they just don't find what they're looking for. Or there's few inbound site links or not very many social media mentions. So I love this. This really describes to me how to build a website. So this is a guy somebody looking in the window. Okay, most people build a website, here's how it goes. Here's me, and here's my services, and here's all my clients, and here's how great they think I am, and here's how to contact me, okay? That's how people build a website. It's absolutely wrong. The way to build a website is to start with using the keyword tool that Dave mentioned, and start to look at what people are really looking for. What's their problem? What's the issue that you're solving for them? Okay? How do you get into their heads? And then how do you eventually solve that problem for them? So you really need to think about approaching your website from the outside, looking in, and then optimize every page. So for my psychic friend, I said, okay, what else do the people use you for? One of them was because they flunked their test and they think it has nothing to do with the fact that they are completely prepared, but that for whatever reason they just are not in the right mindset, and she helps them get into the right mindset. She does a lot of relationship counseling as well. So we started Googling different relationship issues. And we start there, and then we come around to, okay, and then she's a psychic, and here's how she counsels her clients. So it's really about content. So another company that I've just been advising, they build pet pens, okay? And I found out that a huge search is, I'm leaving my dog home alone. And here's the best way to think about your content. If I were to just say, the one nugget I hope you take away from my whole speech, and I can skip through the rest of this or whatever, right? And you can find this on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you my LinkedIn address. You go into my LinkedIn, then we're LinkedIn, and then you can see all my presentations. But I'll tell you a little story. It was about a blind man. Blind man has a tin cup by the side of the road, and his sign says, I'm blind, please help. Well, day after day goes by, and he might hear a plunk from time to time, and basically he's getting no money in the tin cup, okay? Woman comes by and she takes the sign, she flips it over, she writes something on it, and the whole rest of the day there's just people putting tons and tons and tons of money into the tin cup. And he's just flabbergasted. What happened? So she comes back the next day and he says to her, you know, he can tell that it's her, what did you write on my sign? And she wrote, it's a beautiful day, but I can't see it. Okay, so what happened here? We completely changed the dialogue from, you know, please help me do this, to something that everybody can relate to, that you love, which is it's a beautiful day, but the conflict is I can't see it, okay? So think about, you know, your service, and well, think about the dog pen, you know, the pet pens, these beautiful, really good quality pet pens they sell for $600 to $800. But here's the thing, people love their dog. They will do anything for their dog. But the conflict is they have to leave the dog home alone because they have to go off and work. And they feel guilty, they feel horrible. Some people get an extra dog or an extra pet to solve the problem, right? Okay, that's gonna solve the problem. Now I have 2 dogs running around tearing apart my entire house. Or you take the whole concept of you love your dog, but you have to leave your dog home alone. And then you just lead them to the solution. What's the solution? You're providing a solution to a problem. And that's really the way, you know, when you think about looking from the outside looking in, remember that picture? I think a picture can tell 1,000 words. That's where you get into the heads of somebody who's looking at your service from the outside looking in. And if you don't do this, I would highly recommend you do this. Do a focus group. Just gather 10 people together and talk to them for 45 minutes. You'll get amazing information that maybe you haven't thought of before. How are you thinking about, you're stuck inside your head thinking about your business. Think about how other people are thinking about your business. I do this and I advise this with every one of my clients. Get into the heads of the people who are going to be using your product and service, and you're going to learn a huge amount of information that's really, really important that you can use basically to craft your message, because your message is the most important thing. In terms of projecting your image, it's so important, it's central. So all the stuff you're going to do on the web, you have to know what your message is, how you're satisfying the need of your audience, and then just say it over and over and over again. Dave talked a little bit about keywords, how important they are. This basically shows keywords, they're really the cornerstone of building your website. They're the key to helping you get found. It's the key to what I always do when I work with a client is I kind of figure out, okay, what's your core value proposition? How do we message around that? And then how do we come up with your company description that you're going to duplicate every single place that you're on the web? But keywords are a critical part of your description, right? They're you know, how are you going to get found? So you have to find keywords with decent search volume, and you can find that on the Google AdWords tool. That's great. It'll show you how many people are searching for that a month. It'll also show you how many people are advertising and how competitive that will be. It'll be low, medium, high. And high is there's a lot of people, and it'll show you actually the bid rate of how, if you're going to bid on keywords, how expensive that would be. I think the more critical thing is how competitive are they from an organic or non-paid perspective. And that's where some of the tools that I work with and other people who do SEO work with can show you. Here's how competitive it is from an organic point of view if you're not going to be doing Google AdWords, if you're not going to be paying. So that's the sweet spot. Find those words that get a decent search volume, but that also are not so overly competitive. We kind of talked about that. The second C is content. Content is king, obviously using keywords. Channels is the third one. Focus, this is all about where's your core audience. So I always say to people, Facebook is a terrific medium, But if you're the kind of business where I'm going to glaze over, if you're talking about your business in a cocktail party and I'm kind of like, oh my God, you know, really, then don't use Facebook. Use LinkedIn. If it's more of a B2B play, think LinkedIn. Don't think Facebook. And a lot of people also start with, okay, they put up this Facebook page, but they have absolutely no strategy for how they're going to follow through on that. So make sure that if you start something, have a strategy, have a content strategy. What's your content strategy? It should be driving everything that you're doing. Credibility is really important on the web because people will either believe you or not. A lot of this has to do with now we can vote on things. Our customers can comment. They can rate our products and services. If you don't have those types of systems set up, you really should. Because really there's no better way to talk about how great you are than to have your customers tell you how great you are, have customers tell other customers how great you are. That's terrific. Plenty of really good content. Make sure that there's absolutely nothing that is wrong. There's no typos, there's no broken links, there's no directing to a page that doesn't exist, and you have links from trusted sites. Those are all really important in terms of building trust on the web. But the fifth C is really important. That's your call to action. All too many times I get onto a website and I'm like, well, now you've spent all this time and effort to get people to a website, what do you want people to do? And usually it's, you need to come up with a good enough value proposition for, here's what's going to compel them to give you their name and email address so that you can market to them. If you do all this work and now you've gotten them to your website using social media and blogging and all the things that you're doing right, and now you've got them to the website, and the best practice is, basically you've got upper left-hand corner, you've got your logo, and then you've got some stuff in the middle, and of course it's all optimized for search, and the lower right-hand corner above the fold, before you have to scroll down, is where your call to action belongs. And that's where you say something so compelling that I just like, oh my God, if I don't give you my name and email address, I'm going to miss out on this and I'm going to forget it. Because people go to your website and they'll click away right away if they don't see things that they like, and you might lose them forever, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to spend all this time and effort getting them there and then not doing anything with them. So obviously if you're selling a product or a service, the first call to action might be selling your product or service, but they're not ready to go on a cruise or buy a year's worth of whatever. What's going to make them, and maybe it's just a coupon. Maybe you just say, hey, sign up for my mailing list. I'm going to give you a coupon right away, and then have an autoresponder send them immediately what they're looking for, And I created a site on thenicotinepatch.com. I couldn't believe I got that site. And it's basically to help sell e-cigarettes, because e-cigarettes are proving to be far more beneficial for people who are trying to quit smoking, because it mimics the sensation of smoking. Well, I put on the 3 tips that could save your life. Okay, 3 tips. Give me your name and email address, and I've got some really good content for you, but I'm not going to deliver it to you for free. I'm going to capture your name and email address. And use that same call to action in everything that you do. Just be consistent. It's kind of like your same description that's keyword optimized, your same call to action. Yeah, your content strategy. I love blogging. Blogging is really terrific, and the reason blogs are really great is that it's sitting on your website and it's driving nice, fresh content on a regular basis. And usually when I do a content strategy, here's what it looks like. On a monthly basis, a news release. And also take a look at your website, maybe add some nice fresh content. Maybe you're going to add another page to your website. And then do your e-newsletter. So remember all those people you've captured their name and email address. Now you're going to start to market to them on a monthly basis. On a weekly basis, your blog. That's, ideal would be at least do a blog once a week. And then on a daily basis, that's where you're doing social media. And so that's kind of what your general content strategy looks like. And then just, be consistent. Think about all the categories that you can be blogging about. And think about, again, all the issues. If you're a dog owner, it's about kenneling, and it's about maybe toys that they want during the day, and it's about, how to occupy them, and should I get another dog, and how do I take, some of the things that people are thinking about when they're thinking about that particular subject. Make it, pretty relevant. And again, as Dave said, don't sell. Just give them really good content and really good advice. Get into their heads and just kind of, pretend that you're kind of like their, their buddy. Here's my best advice. So blog, I love blogging because, one thing that you can do with a blog is that you can do a little tweet about, hey, check out my blog. Always use images. You can do a video blog. You can do, make it visual, because a lot of, picture does tell 1,000 words. It really does. A lot of people don't want to read a lot of words. Unfortunately, you need the words because Google reads HTML content. It does not read the image. So you have to describe the image and you have to describe the video to Google, but still do it because people, that's a great way to communicate information. Does people look like this? I love this slide. A lot of people used to feel this way when I talked about social media, like, oh my God, really? So who, me, really? I got to do this? And the point is that if you're not doing that, and here's the billions of people that are on social media, and it's just a huge shift in how people are connecting with brands. So, and the point that that we need to make is that if you're not doing it, your competitors are, and they're connecting with people in that way. And it's a whole channel that's now open to you that's free. Now, Facebook, I love to do Facebook advertising. So, in terms of Google AdWords and Facebook advertising, you can absolutely drill right down into your audience and then serve them up an ad in the news feed that is, that is exactly what they're looking for because they have met this really narrow criteria. Google AdWords tends to be a little bit more complicated, more expensive, and but Facebook, if you're the kind of business that is appropriate for Facebook, it can be terrific for you. Let's see if I've got anything else. Oh, I might as well talk about PR since my whole career has been in PR. So PR actually has changed quite a bit, obviously, in the years that I've been involved. And PR is still appropriate and still relevant these days. I forgot to mention on a monthly basis. Hey, if you've got something that is PR worthy, you've got a new program or a new service, or somebody's joined your team, or you're participating in a trade show somewhere, or you're presenting at a seminar somewhere like this wonderful New Business Minnesota. Whatever it is, you can do a news release about that. Now, it used to be we'd do a news release and then we'd beg and plead the journalists that were on our lists to write a story about our client or service. Now you can just serve the news release up on either free pitch services, Pitch Engine, PR Web is not free, that's the one I use, but it's pretty low cost. SB Wire is another one. And you put out your news release and it helps to drive more links to your site. Hey, that's not such a bad thing because links to your site are, unfortunately, Google does consider this to be a little bit of a popularity contest. So the more links to your site, really the better. From viable sources though. So think about the benefit of if you've got a news release that has a link to your website on a credible news source, even a neighborhood newspaper. And by the way, the patch publications, you can post on the patch for free. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to write a news release. You basically write it and put a link on there, and now you've got a link back to your site. That's a good thing. I suggest doing deep links, so deep link not just to your front page, but if you've got a page that's all about, psychic.com/is he the one for me, and you're writing about this new technique that you've got for determining whether or not he's the right match for you, well, then link to that page. And of course, you want to use all the best practices in SEO for your news release. Correct. Question? Oh, yes.
Some of the things, and maybe everybody here knows what you're talking about, and I don't, but patch, pitch engine, I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Okay. What are you talking about?
Patch are neighborhood publications, neighborhood newspapers called Patch. So if you Google Minnesota Patch publications, or wherever you're located, Minnetonka Patch, Edina Patch, it's a publication. So it'll pop up, and then you can actually post right onto their publication. Pitch services are, used to be that we used to have to use very expensive services such as Business Wire and PR Newswire to post and then distribute our news releases to journalists, and to have it living online on another highly credible site. Now there are sites, and I mentioned a couple of them. One's called Pitch Engine, one's called PR Web, and one's called SB Wire. So any one of those are credible news release, distribution, posting services. So they're just terrific sites. Yes?
Could you say those names again?
Pitch Engine, PR Web, all one word, PRWEB, and SB, short for Small Business Wire, SB Wire. I'd say for this audience, probably SB Wire would be the one I would recommend. It's pretty low cost. And they do also handle, do you send out news releases, Dave? I'm just curious. Yeah. PR Web is the one you use. Yeah, and PR Web can be a little bit more pricey. I have a package where I've signed up for the entire year, so because I do PR for my clients, so it makes sense for me to, kind of pay hundreds of dollars in advance for all the PR that I do. But at any rate, did that answer questions? Yes. And we'll just cover this really quickly. New rules for news releases. Keyword rich. Okay, all those best practices in SEO. Really important. And think about, a news release, it's going to sit out there on the web for a long time. And when journalists are Googling, they Google just like the rest of us. And they're looking for a source now on a particular subject. Maybe they're looking for a psychic. And now my psychic friend can get found because she's done everything right. She's putting content out there on a regular basis that's keyword optimized. You can obviously incorporate think multimedia. That's really important to think about. A lot of people just write a news release. I always think about what's the image, and post the image and put that up in the newsroom and make it downloadable so that somebody can, because all the newsrooms that are out there right now, they use, it doesn't matter what this, a newspaper has video on the site, a TV station has content on the site. They're all kind of mishmash. It's a big mishmash of media out there, and there's a lot of media out there. So, just think multimedia and build also, if you're really serious about doing PR, build a very robust online newsroom. Actually, if you Google my name with online newsroom, you'll find a really great article that I wrote, and I think it's the 19-point checklist or something of building a really great online newsroom. But it's, it may be a little bit more robust than you need, but I can help you with some best practices there too. And basically, you have to think about, this is all, you have to put all this into somebody's court. You have to think about who's going to own all of this. And usually it's, it's time or money. So just think about, the best options for how are you going to handle all this? Because, sometimes somebody can handle it, and in addition to their job, sometimes not. And if you hire somebody, make sure that, a lot of people will hire somebody, because my nephew knows all about Facebook. But usually they don't know about Facebook for business. They don't know about the advertising strategies. Certainly don't know about messaging strategies. Certainly don't know about PR. You really have to understand. It's better to hire a marketing professional who really understands the content and the strategy piece. And then once you at least have that, then maybe you can have some of the other things done on a regular basis. But think strategy. I would say that all these things are basically a different channel. So like right here, this is a channel for me, right? This is a channel for me to project to you what Verve PR is all about, what I'm all about, how you would work with me. And basically, I would never get up here standing in front of you without knowing what I'm going to say. Well, the same thing, every single one of your channels, whether it's your website, it's a social media channel, it's a news release, it's your blog, whatever it is, would you get up here and not have a concept for what you're going to say and what your images that you're going to be projecting? You need to understand that. You have to have a strategy. And then once you've had that, then things kind of start to fall into place. You should do it.